So 2024 was one of the best years of my life. There was so much progress made in so many different areas, and there were some key things that I did during the year, that I discovered during the year as well, that really made a difference to the amount of progress that I made and how happy I felt and all that kind of thing. So in this video, I want to talk about 8 kind of simple habits that I did last year, I'm going to do into the future, that really made a difference to my year, and hopefully you'll find them interesting as well. So habit number 1 was something that I actually started doing last year, and that was turning off pretty much all of my phone notifications. So loads of notifications used to come through on my phone, random stuff like bank notifications, whenever Deliveroo had a discount or something, even though I didn't really use Deliveroo, that would come up on my phone screen, calendar invitations, all sorts of things, Instagram summaries, just loads of random different stuff. But I realized halfway through last year that I actually just didn't need any of the notifications coming through on my phone except for WhatsApp messages and iMessages. I'm debating getting rid of all of those as well because I check my phone enough. I check WhatsApp and iMessage enough probably to not miss anything. I check those, out of habit anyway, and I'm really unlikely to miss anything. My phone is always on me. We live in this world where you have to have a phone and you check it and stuff. So you don't actually really need notifications. And that's a lesson that I've learned, and it saved me a lot of headspace because your phone otherwise is just kind of taking up energy, just constantly pinging you with random stuff. So that was a big one last year. So the second habit is also about my phone because I, like lots of people, struggle to, manage the amount of time I spend on my phone, and I want it to be a tool for my life rather than something that I'm kind of slave to. And so the second thing is having a screen time management app. The one I use is called Opal. I'm never, ever not gonna have one of these kinds of apps in the future because I just don't trust myself. I don't trust my monkey brain to not go on Instagram or YouTube or Twitter or Facebook or whatever random app that I can get my hands on at like 11 o'clock at night to keep me from going to sleep, because that's what my brain wants to do sometimes. It just wants a distraction from going to bed or whatever, from working and all that kind of stuff. So now I have it set up so that I can't go on really any offending apps, any apps that waste my time from 7 o'clock when I wake up to about 6 p.m. pretty much is when I can't go on anything. And then in between 6 and 9:30 p.m. during the week, I can go on these random apps like, Instagram and YouTube and stuff. And then at 9:30 it shuts down again. And then on the weekend, I also can't go on any of these apps before 11 o'clock because I don't want to wake up on the weekend and just waste my time, waste my, nice weekend scrolling on social media and stuff like that. So I do use these apps still because I don't want to delete them because I do enjoy them. But I don't trust myself. I have a stupid monkey brain. So yeah, I will never not have a screen time management app. And that was last year was the first year I had one, and it was just game changing. It saved me so much time. I spent £80 on my subscription for Opal, I think, and the amount of hours that I got back, just freaking game changing. So the third habit is relating to morning focus. So last year I switched from doing my side hustles and stuff outside of my job in the evenings and weekends to first thing in the morning. So I used to start my job at about 8 o'clock and then kind of work till about 6 or about 5. Well, if I started at 8, I'd work till like 5:30. But then I tried to get home in the evening and do sort of side hustle stuff and do it on the weekend and in the evenings. I just never really had quite enough energy because I spent most of my working energy that day on my job. But I decided that because I cared about, making progress with my side hustles, that I would do it first thing in the morning. So I'd wake up 7 and then I would work from 7:30 to 8:30 and then start my job at 9 and then I'd work to 6. And that way I'd get pretty much an hour's worth of work done on my own stuff very reliably Monday to Friday. And I'd make lots of progress because I was fresh. I'd wake up and I'd just get going. And I would say that was a really big reason last year that I was able to make as much progress as I did around my job. It's like 5 hours worth of work in the mornings each week, kind of reliably. And then I would do extra bits in the evenings and the weekends. But like that time is just less reliable. Your energy is less reliable. It's sort of competing with your social calendar. It's just harder. It's just harder to consistently work during that time. And I had flexible work. I was kind of working from home a bit. But then if I went to WeWork, I went in to see my teammates at work. I would go there, try and get there early and start my side hustle stuff from like 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock and then quickly switch to my job kind of thing. So an hour of focused work in the morning made a huge difference to my life last year. So the fourth habit also relates to focus and the power of focus. And at some point last year, I had this idea that you can do anything you want, but not everything you want. And it hit me. It was the right message at the right time. And because I've been trying for so long to kind of do everything. I want to do all the things. I want to sort of make YouTube videos and write a newsletter and do consulting and do my job and see my friends and all the other stuff that I want to do in my life. And I kind of realized that I was just trying to do too many things. And it's actually way more fun to make progress on something, to make progress on one thing, than it is to try and do all the things. And I think I've sort of also saw last year that graph from Essentialism, the book by Greg McKeown, which I actually haven't read, but that graph of the kind of the energy diagram. I saw that graph and I was like, yes, I want to say no to other stuff to make progress on one stuff. It's just so much more fun and enjoyable and meaningful and satisfying to make progress on one thing than it is to just kind of do lots of things slightly terribly. And the way that I actually learned that lesson last year was that I stopped sending a weekly sort of personal newsletter that I was sending called the Sunday Night Review, which I actually have started sending again. It's a link down below if you want to check that out. So I sort of document my life and the lessons I'm learning. I stopped sending it and doing a bunch of other stuff like my personal YouTube channel so that I could just make progress on this course that I was making. And that ended up going really well. And it's because I just did one thing and I said no to the other things that weren't going to move the needle, said yes to the one thing that was going to kind of make me most satisfied and also progress me the most and where I would learn the most and all that kind of thing. So just focusing on one thing and saying no to the rest. The fifth habit is a bit basic, but it was to eat real food. I met TJ Power, this guy last year. He came on Ali's podcast and I met him and he is a legend. And TJ was on Ali's podcast and whilst they were recording, TJ said this thing, he was like, only eat food that could have existed before humans got here. And that just really hit me. I was like, whoa, that's such an interesting and simple way to look at diet. And so on the whole, I try to eat things that could have existed before humans got here. I do eat lots of things that still lots of junk, but also things that, you know, you cook and could only existed after humans got here, but also are still healthy. And one of the biggest reasons I like this is for my energy. I just feel like I've got more energy because I'm not going through as many like random fluctuations with my sugar levels and with like my body that's like trying to digest all this stuff that's like terrible for me. I feel like the thing that I really care about now is the level of energy that I have on a day-to-day basis. I just want to have good level of energy for my work, for my friends, for my family, for my life. I don't want to waste it not having energy for life. That just kind of, feels like a worthy sacrifice to sacrifice all of the junk food and the crisps and I love crisps, so that's like a tricky one. But I'll probably still eat a bit of these things. I definitely will. I'm not gonna be able to cut things out, but like, I just want to eat less junk and eat more whole foods and stuff that's actually good for me so that I can just have more energy for my day to day. And saying this on YouTube makes me more likely to actually do the thing. So yeah, that was the fifth lesson. The sixth habit is around optimizing my digital environment. So this tip is kind of niche, but I use Google Chrome on my computer and I use Google Chrome a lot. And I try to keep my workspace clean. So I kind of close Google Chrome when I'm not using it. And I try to not have too many tabs and things like that. But I often open Google Chrome from scratch, kind of like click, or type in Google Chrome into Alfred and it opens up. And then there's the default page that gets shown. And I changed that default page from like the BBC, which was my previous default page, to my Google Calendar. And it just meant that I suddenly started looking at my calendar way more. And I've now just become like, it's just way easier for me to sort of stay on top of my life, manage my time, my day-to-day schedule stuff, see what's coming up on my calendar, because that happens like multiple times throughout the day that I actually see my calendar. And it's also tricks like this that actually over time can actually make a meaningful difference to your life. I just never thought of it before. And then last year at some point, I just thought, why don't I change this page? I don't see the BBC every day. And yeah, it made a big difference to my life. But things like that, changing your phone home screen, your computer to kind of engineer yourself or like point yourself towards all the things that you want to do and the habits that you want to build. And that was just a good example of one of those things. The seventh habit that really made a difference to my life last year was reminding myself of my goals. So you probably know that I worked for Ali, and over the course of like the time that I was there, Ali became really obsessed with goal setting, and I learned a lot from him around goal setting. It was just super interesting to go on that journey with him a bit, because I feel like before that he sort of wasn't that interested in goals, but whilst I was there, we spoke a lot about goal setting. And one of the big things I did last year was just look at my goals more. I've been setting annual goals for the past 7 years now. So at the start of every year, I'd write down a list of goals, things that I wanted to do that year. And in last year only was the year where I actually consistently looked at them throughout the year. So previously I would just occasionally look at them, and I'd kind of open up my notebook where I'd written them down, and maybe 2-3 times in the rest of the year kind of thing. Whereas last year I wrote them down on a piece of paper, I had them on my phone, I had them on my computer where I'd have my to-do list, and I also in a notebook, and I just looked at them way more. And it just meant that I kind of naturally just like my actions just directed themselves towards the things that I actually wanted to do. And it was just a really simple fix. And it just reminding yourself of what you want to do and why you want to do it on a more frequent basis. And yeah, Ali was a big kind of, you know, source of motivation there, because he was like, this is the goal setting kind of like, you know, evidence. So that was a very big habit that I got into last year that I'm going to take with me into the future, and will hopefully make, you know, all my future years good as well. So the 8th and final habit is to do a weekly review. I've actually been doing a weekly review in some shape or form for about 8 years. When I was first at university, I wanted to kind of document and capture what was going on at the time, what I was thinking and feeling. So I started one as soon as I turned up at uni. And every Sunday I would kind of write down what had happened and how I felt about what happened and stuff like that. And it's kind of evolved. But then 4 years ago, I started a email newsletter, the one I mentioned earlier in the video, the Sunday Night Review, because I wanted to share a kind of weekly lesson. And that email has then forced me to sort of continue to do a weekly review every week and think about my week, reflect on what's happened, plan for the next week, and just evaluate my life in general. And I think a kind of weekly intervention is one of the most powerful things you can do to get your life more on track. If you want it to get it more on track, kind of point more in the direction you want it to point in, just because it's just such a nice cadence. Every day feels like too much, but every week, just like zooming out and being like, you know, how are things going, is such a it's just such a powerful habit. And I've been doing it for the past 8 years in some shape or form. And I think it's like, yeah, it's definitely been a big factor in the decisions that I've made in my life. And last year I took it more seriously, I would say, than I ever have done. On more weeks I did a sort of more lengthy review, sometimes up to like half an hour. I didn't do it every week, but I did it enough that it made a difference. So yeah, those 8 habits that I kind of learned or discovered last year that I hope you find interesting. I'm going to keep doing these things into the future. Maybe you find 1 or 2 work for you really well as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, cool. 8 lessons I learned in 2024. No, 8 habits I learned in 2024.